system we need to understand. Okay, so coming to the system is a arrangement in which all its unit assembled work together according to the set of rules. Okay, system we need to understand. Okay, so coming to some part of instructions, you need to provide some to the motors or to the LEDs, the outputs. So how you are taking it? Okay, so what are the components should be required? Okay, so it is a one unit. For that unit means um, part single part where all the components are assembled. Okay, so it means that it is a embedded system. So here system is a arrangement in which all units assemble work together according to the set of rules. Okay, so it can be defined as a way of working or organized, doing one or many tasks according to the fixed plan. Like in a program, in a controller, we have a mobiles. In the mobiles, we have only the processor. So where we giving complete instructions in the processor. So the processor will take care of the fingerprint or the face recognition, whatever the instructions that we have in the software. So that will be taking part. Okay, so that's how whether it should be the one task or multiple tasks. And coming to embedded system, so embedded system is the computer system that is designed to perform specific task or set of tasks. You can do one task, whether you need to activate only one motor or specific part of time, or multiple tasks at a one time. So that will be giving us the so embedded system. So towards the hardware, with respect to the programming, we are driving it. It's typically the combination of the hardware and software designed for specific function, so that is integrated into a device or the product to control its functions. So mainly, so with the hardware and software combination, we are able to perform some function. So some function means whether movement of the motor or glowing of light, anything, it will be a part of a function. So how it will be controlled? It will be controlled via the hardware. Okay, so how the hardware will take the instructions will be taken from the software. So that's how this embedded is a combination of both the hardware and software. So getting right, ఏదైనా ఒక టాస్క్ చేయాలంటే సాఫ్ట్వేర్ నుంచి టాస్క్ అనేది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో మన మొబైల్స్లో కూడా మనకు సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అనేది లేకుండా ఉంటే హార్డ్వేర్ ఐ మీన్ ఈవెన్ మనకు మొబైల్ అనేది ఆన్ అవ్వదు. ఓకే. ఆన్ అయినా కెమెరా వర్క్ అవ్వదు. ఫ్యూచర్స్ అప్డేట్ అవ్వదు. ఎందుకంటే దాంట్లో సాఫ్ట్‌వేర్ కూడా ఉండాలి కాబట్టి. సో మనం ఓఎస్ అప్డేట్ చేసుకుంటాం. సాఫ్ట్‌వేర్స్ అప్డేట్ చేస్తుంటాం. బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద ఇంటర్ఫేస్, యూజర్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ వేర్ we can interact easily and quickly, and we are able to do some activity, some work అనేది మనం చేయొచ్చు అనమాట. సో దట్స్ హౌ ద సాఫ్ట్‌వేర్ విల్ హెల్ప్ ద హార్డ్‌వేర్ to do some actions and task. Getting right? If someone asks you what is embedded system, you need to say it's a typically combination. It is a combination of the hardware and software. So specifically designed to to perform specific task. Like that, you can explain. Okay, getting clear, right? So what are the components of embedded system? So generally, anyone can tell me?
Yeah, CPU, microcontrollers, and
Yeah, so components, yes, CPU, memory storage, timers, power supply, communication ports. So these are the common components that should be required for the embedded system to establish the communication. Okay, and here the CPU is the heart of the embedded system because it will take the instruction, it will execute the instruction, but to make the decision, who will be the so the brain, means the memory, it have the data where it will do the memory like sending of the informations via the some buses in it. Okay, so further we'll discuss about those buses and the memory microcontroller topic in detail. So the components which are familiar is the CPU, memory storage, timers, and power supply and communication ports. And heart here the CPU is the heart of the embedded system, and communication ports is used for transferring the data. So between the CPU and external devices. Okay, and so with the we are assembling the hardware. Okay, so in terms of the microprocessor or microcontroller, so even we cannot say our laptop or the mobiles are microcontrollers. It is a part of microprocessor. We can expand our memories, we can expand our devices. Okay, so as per requirement, microcontroller is a fixed one. Once it is designed, we cannot modify this. Okay, so we'll discuss more in detail about the microcontroller topic. So, how this embedded system is layer with respect to the hardware and software. So, generally, the first layer is the hardware layer, and next we have on top of that we have the OS. So that is operating system. We usually say boot software. Okay, so BIOS operating system, the embedded system we are using. And on our OS, we are using the application software. So like we have a laptop, so on the hardware, on behalf of that we used to flash Windows 7, Windows 11, Windows 10, the OS, right? So similarly, when you are using that OS, on behalf of that we are able to access the applications like Microsoft, Microchrome, or any application the browser you are able to operate via the on top of the OS. Okay, so that's how similarly in the controller also we have the hardware on to make establish the communication of the hardware. So OS will be there. On top of the OS, we are flashing the application software. So those are the layers in the embedded system. Okay. So hardware, it will be covering as a part of the processor, memory devices, and IO devices. And coming to the software level, we have a device driver software, the operating system softwares, and the application software. So softwares are derived as the three sections. Hardware is completely the hardware part. Getting right? So here, whatever the hardware, so the hardware, it's completely the inputs and outputs data will be captured. Like input is from the sensors, it will take the data and it will process the data and it will give the output. So completely the hardware, it is a combination of all the electronic components. What are the three parts of embedded system? So the majorly the hardware and the software and the OS, right? So that is what we discussed. So hardware is a physical device that is capable of operating the task and execute based on the system. Okay, that is the hardware. What exactly the hardware will do? It able to do the operation, whether you need to blow the light or turn the motor, something you should activate. So that hardware will do. How that hardware will perform? So with respect to the instructions that is giving from the software. So software is a set of instructions that we are giving to the computer to perform the operations. So here embedded software, it have the voice device drivers, and we are scheduling the task. Okay, scheduling means one after the other you should establish. Whenever we power on the laptop, first it will come like the welcome power on, then parallelly it will get some boot up, means all the IO's communication will be established, then the system is ready to use. So that is the scheduling, like one after the other, who will take the responsibility. And RTOS, real-time operating system. So what exactly we are doing? So we are whatever the application software we are making. So the so the programs or the application software or the program which we used to develop, we need to perform the task. So that is a major activity that we should do. What exactly the function, what exactly the task you should do, that we are giving in the RTOS. Okay, so it is a part of the embedded software where the RTOS device drivers, the OS softwares will be giving. Okay, so it is a part of a application software. So so makes that hardware or software um, that we are designing for specific function. Okay, so how embedded system works? So what it will do, it will whatever the software we are making, so it will tell the microcontroller how you need to respond when there are some sensors. So if sensors is specifically designed for object detection purpose, so the software is continuously monitoring. If the person is coming, then the sensor will take the data. If the sensor person is not coming, the sensor won't take the data. So whether taking the data or so sending the data, that is a responsible of the communication with respect to the devices, how it is establishing. So here the embedded software program tells the microcontroller how to respond in real time to collect the data from the environment through input services like the sensors or any input switches. And based upon the input, you should act the output. So that is what the embedded system will do. Getting right? So what are these are it is, so that will be analog in nature, and digital inputs like ones and zeros. If you press, it will be on. If not, it will be zero. And potentiometer, so like where we used to vary the temperature, like we have adjustment, light adjustment or the fan control adjustment we used to do right in homes. So this is a part of a potentiometer. What exactly it will do? We are able to operate the adjustment. It is a potentiometer, so that will be an analog input whatever we are giving as the input. So what exactly these sensors it have? So remember, this is a very important. The sensors have three inputs. It have the power, ground, and output is nothing but the signal or the feedback signal. Okay, what are the three inputs of the sensor? So power, ground, and signal, or that signal is the feedback. So okay, sometimes we'll read it as a feedback. So a signal, that is the output, means the sensor will read the input data and it is sending to the controller. Getting right? That is the output. You are able to understand it? Vardhan, Anil, Chakravarti.
Hello. Yeah, I'm understand.
Okay, if not, let me know. Okay.
Okay, I will.
So, and rotate level, like what are the outputs? So outputs are nothing but the actuators. Here we have like the motors or solenoids usually have. So what exactly these outputs will do? It will take the signal from the microcontroller, and we are giving additionally the power. Based upon that, it will do some operations. Okay, so whether to rotate or you need to hold something, you have the output. So we came across the input, what are the inputs and what are the outputs. Okay, so now we need to understand the sensors are the inputs we are giving to the controller. This is the processor, like it will be the microcontroller or any processor we have. So the processor can understand only the digital bits, digital, because this is a digital communication completely. It will be happen ones and zeros. Okay, so whatever we are getting the sensor data, that is a analog in nature. So that analog will be converted to digital ones and zeros, analog to digital conversion. So the processor will understand only the digital. So it will, based upon the sensor input, that the digital input will be taken and it will be processed. So once this is processed, the motors or some of the motors it have digital, some of them have it analog. So to under, if it is a analog nature, so the digital will be converted to analog and it will be sending to the actuator. Okay, to process some data. Okay, so what the data and where it will be stored? It will be stored in the part of memory. From the memory, the data will be collected by the CPU or the processor. So, and it will take the sensor input information and it will giving the outputs. So that's how the embedded system will work. Is it clear? This is a very basic structure to understand about the embedded system. In interviews, they will ask you, you know about how the sensors will work, how the outputs are responding, what is the conversion it will take, what is the input of the sensor, what is the output of the sensor, how many pins are there, how the data will be processed in the controller. So these are very important terms. You should be remember. Okay. Basic structure of the embedded system, whatever we do discuss till now, a sensor, it will detect and capture the data from the surrounding environment and transfer the data uh, information to the devices. Means the devices is nothing but the controller. So what is ADC? It will convert analog data to digital data. Okay, because the for the processor it can understand only the digital data. And what is a processor? Processor, we have a set of instructions, and it interact with the memory. Moreover, the data whichever we are collecting it, so the data will be processed by the processor. Okay, so it will process the sensor information to the output based upon the instructions that given in the software. ADC, ADC is a, say as a digital to analog converter it is. So it is used for digital data transmission to analog signals. We have actuators. So what is the actuator? So, so interviews they will ask you. So actuator is nothing but it is a device that converts the electrical energy into motion or force or movement. Means electrical energy is nothing but we are supplying to the motor. So what the motor will do, it will get some energy and it will start rotating. That is a motion or the force or the moment. It will be the output of the microcontroller. Getting right? So actuator, it is the output of the processor to perform special action or the task. Actuator is a comparator used for comparing the analog input signal to desired output signal level by by the error-free output. Means it should be rotated accurately. Okay, so how the where the speed or some adjustment you need to do that can be modified very easily and quickly based upon the input and the instructions that made in the soft processor. Getting right? Why to choose embedded system? So in real-time applications, okay, so it is a timely and accurate response will be giving. Okay, so because that accurate response and timely based upon the software instructions that we are giving in the controller. Okay, so most of the some of them it have a micro level microcontrollers also. Okay, so whenever the devices is small, the power utilization is very low. Okay, so even it is a small, low power and cost also it will be varied. From lower controllers, it have a the cost. Okay, depends upon the application. The controller prices will be varied. Okay, so lower controllers it will be low cost. Higher controllers, higher configuration, it have the high cost. Okay, so embedded systems also reliable. So we know that where embedded systems are using in the real-time application in the medical devices, automotive, aerospace, and navy. So there are many areas where we are using this embedded system. So project stages, data collection, data processing. What embedded system will do? It will collect the data, it will process the data, and it display the data. And we are able to control the data. Okay, so we are able to control the input, that is the device control, and we are able to user interface. So we can modify, we can have a touch screen or button something, we can set it. This okay, so these are about the projects. Okay, so to work on the embedded system, so you should aware on the components, you should aware what exactly the processor embedded system will do, and any part of project, you need to work on the embedded system. So exactly the data collection? It is a part of the sensors, data processing, the controllers, information display, or the user, that will be the output. Device control is the input. Okay, and user interface also one part of input, where you are interacting, you are able to control, and you are able to monitor the data with the help of user interface and information display. Okay, so just this is a overview. Like when someone you need to work on the embedded project, uh, what are the high level terms you should know? So examples, the embedded system we can see everywhere. So like alarm in the office. So whenever the sensors, it's identifies the firing or any smoke, so it will get automatically the alarm. The bell will be ring. Okay, so this is one example, and we are able to see daily smartphones, washing machine, and consumer electronics. So everywhere the embedded systems plays major